Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a question that's really sparking some debate in the rugby world. It's pulled straight from an article on Planet Rugby. How should a British and Irish Lions series against Australia actually be decided if, after 3 massive tests, it ends up a draw?
Yeah, it's a brilliant topic, isn't it? Because it feels rare, but drawn test series do happen.
They do.
Just think back to 2017, the Lions against the All Blacks. That series finished 1-1 after that incredibly tense 15-15 draw in the third test.
I remember that well. Nail-biting stuff.
Totally. And now with the next series in Australia coming up July 19th, 26th, August 2nd, the possibility, well, it's definitely real again.
Absolutely. And you just have to have a plan, don't you, for that kind of scenario. The drama would be, well, huge. And figuring out how to resolve it clearly is key for everyone. Players, fans, the record books.
Yep.
And our source for this deep dive, it gets right into the discussions that are already happening.
That's right. It looks at the ideas being sort of floated around, and one specific, quite interesting suggestion from a former player.
Okay, before we unpack all of that, all the potential solutions and kind of weigh them up, if you live and breathe rugby like we do, and you want to stay on top of these fascinating little corners of the game, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession. Just hit that subscribe button. It means you won't miss any of our future deep dives.
Helps us keep doing them, too.
Exactly. Okay, let's get into what the article actually uncovered. So kicking us off, what's the sort of official line? What solutions are being discussed at that level?
Well, according to the Planet Rugby piece, the Rugby Australia chief executive, Phil Waugh, he's confirmed they've actually had discussions about potentially bringing in extra time or using golden point, which, is often called super point in some places.
Right, super point.
Yeah, if the series finishes level after the 3 games.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Super point, golden point.
Yeah.
That's basically sudden death, isn't it?
Pretty much.
First team to score a try, penalty, drop goal, whatever, wins the match and, well, in this case, wins the whole series.
Exactly.
Wow, that certainly ramps up the drama, like, instantly.
Yeah.
Waugh apparently mentioned they see its familiarity, how fans might already get it, and the interest it generates is a big plus.
Yeah, he's quoted saying it puts the fans at the center of everything.
Right.
So, yeah, it's one clear option they're looking at, aiming for a swift, decisive, and maybe capitalizing on that sudden death excitement factor.
The article also brings up another angle. Proposed by former Wallabies lock, Justin Harrison. And this is where it gets, well, really interesting for me because he suggests something quite different. What's his pitch?
So Justin Harrison argues that if the series is drawn after the 3 tests, and maybe even if they played extra time and that also ended level, he thinks the best method, the best way to decide the series winner would actually be a penalty shootout.
A penalty shootout, seriously. Like we see in football? That feels, wow, pretty exotic for rugby union. What's his thinking behind that?
Well, he describes it in the article as probably the most exotic, convenient solution.
Okay, exotic.
His main argument is about the intrigue and the immediacy of feedback you get. With each kick, you instantly know if it's over the posts or not.
Right. That instant result.
But the critical point he makes, the really key thing, is that this model, it isn't actually brand new for rugby. It's already accepted within the World Cup framework.
Okay, so there's precedent.
Yeah.
He's saying because, how did he put it? All nations that are playing in the British, Irish Lions in Australia have already accepted that model is acceptable in the World Cup.
Exactly.
Then why shouldn't it be okay for a Lion series?
Precisely. He sees it as just, inheriting a practice that's been there since the '87 World Cup, actually, for deciding knockout games that are drawn after extra time. You don't need to invent something completely new. You can just use a method that's already familiar, already accepted on the biggest stage in the sport.
He sounds pretty convinced about it in the article. Quite enthusiastic.
He does, yeah. He did admit, apparently, having a bit of a soft spot for the drama of super point, that sudden death thing. But ultimately, he believes the penalty shootout gives the best and fairest representation for deciding the series.
Okay, fairest. That's key, isn't it? Why does he think it's fairer than, say, super point?
Yeah, and this is where his argument against super point really comes through. He talked about concerns over that fragility of deciding something as massive as a Lions series, potentially just boiling down to one single moment, one referee interpretation, or maybe even a TMO call.
Oh, yeah.
Which could, swing a golden point outcome just like that.
Right. One potentially controversial call could decide everything.
Exactly. He feels that having multiple chances to score in extra time, plus the multiple chances you get in a penalty shootout, well, it offers a broader, and in his view, a fairer way to decide the winner compared to just one sudden death play.
That's a really fascinating point, actually. It kind of spreads the deciding moment, doesn't it, across multiple kicks, multiple players under pressure, rather than maybe just one quick bit of play or, like you said, a single decision right at the start of extra time. It's a different type of pressure, too, isn't it? Individual skill versus maybe team momentum.
It definitely raises that important question, what method really captures the spirit of deciding such a huge, hard-fought series if the teams are still level after, 240 minutes plus of rugby?
Yeah.
Are you going for the quick, dramatic ending or a process that tests a specific skill repeatedly under immense pressure, and one that's already, got the official stamp of approval at World Cups?
So wrapping this up a bit, what does this all mean for us watching on? We're seeing the conversation is definitely happening, it's active, about how to handle a potential draw in this Lions series.
Yep.
You've got the official side mentioning extra time or super point, maybe playing on fan familiarity. But then you've got this really compelling argument from someone like Justin Harrison, a former player, pushing for the World Cup's penalty shootout model, arguing it's fairer. It's already accepted.
But it's really about finding that balance, isn't it? A resolution that gives a definitive winner, but one that's also seen as exciting and fair. Fair to the competition, fair to the players after such a huge effort.
And look, if you're finding this kind of deep dive, getting into the tactical bits, the admin side of rugby, as fascinating as we are, and you want to stay ahead of the game on these sorts of discussions, remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession. It genuinely is the best way to make sure you catch every single deep dive we do.
Yeah, your support really does make these explorations possible.
It really makes you think, though, what is the best way to cap off such a massive event, 3 huge tests, if they're still deadlocked, given the World Cup model is already there? Is that the obvious, fair solution, Harrison suggests? Or does something unique like a Lions tour maybe deserve its own unique ending, like that super point drama?
It's definitely something to chew on as we look ahead to the tour itself.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
We really want to know. If the Lions series against Australia ends in a draw, would you prefer that sudden death super point? Or do you lean towards Justin Harrison's view that a penalty shootout using that World Cup precedent is the fairest way to decide it? Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, we love hearing your opinions on these deep dives. Always adds so much.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We will look forward to you listening to our next episode.